Welcome to the show. I am so excited to have joining me today, Kelly Smith. She's a health and nutrition coach. She's a mom of 3 wonderful kids, and she's a registered nurse. Kelly is here to talk to us today about how we can help our families live a healthy lifestyle and be our happiest, healthiest selves. Thank you so much, Kelly, for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you, Kelly. I love watching you online and all of the beautiful content that you put out there for people and sharing your life and the stories of your family, because you not only, speak about having a healthy lifestyle and a happy lifestyle, but you really embody that. And you can see that in all the beautiful pictures with you and your family. So I'm really excited to talk to you today and just learn as a mom.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And this is your first podcast, right?
It's my first ever.
Well, welcome. It's a lot of fun. We just love to have a natural mom chat here, especially with all of our Stay Calm Mom listeners joining us. And I'd love to learn a little bit about you, Kelly, and how you came to this passion in your life as a mom and as a woman for helping others to get healthy and get happy.
Yeah, sure. So I feel like my whole life, I've always wanted to serve. From the time I can remember, I wanted to be a pediatrician until college, and I took calculus and was like, nope, I'm not going to be a doctor. So I changed to be a pediatric nurse. So I've always known that I wanted to serve people, and I have always preferred children. But then once I became a mom, I don't know, it's weird. Like, I used to love taking care of babies, but then when I had babies, I couldn't take care of babies anymore. I preferred older kids because it was just too close to home. And so then I guess by my third child, as a mom, you kind of lose your way, and it's just like, you're just a mom. Right. And I was still a nurse, but I needed something for me. I started going to the gym. And then once I went back into full-time work, I could no longer fit in the gym. And so I found home workouts, and I found this community online that was something I never knew that I needed. As a mom, you become friends with your kids' friends' parents, and you lose touch with friends, from college, or you talk to them, but life is just so busy. And so this community that I found online through these home workouts was like, oh my gosh, there's other people out there like me who, don't get to go out, who can't get to the gym, but want to live a healthy lifestyle, want to, be an example for your family. And then, since it worked for me, I was like, I want to help everybody feel like this and give them the confidence that I felt and give them the community that I so needed.
No, I identify with that a lot, because it's hard to kind of keep in touch with people and friends that sometimes don't have kids and they don't understand. Like, I have a friend who recently asked me to be a workout buddy, but it's so challenging for me as a mom, so when you can connect with sort of that mom group and they understand that, today my son is sick and all these things, or let's go on a walk together with the kids, it gives a little bit of ease, and you feel like you have that tribe behind you and you can vent to them and all of those things. So, and your health is so important for your mental health too, not just your physical. So especially, during that transition into motherhood, our health is so important, and it's really important, I think, for our mental health. Is that something you found also?
Oh my gosh, 100%. After my third daughter was born, I wasn't working because at the time I was clinical instructor for nursing students. So she was born in August. The next class started in September. So obviously I didn't teach that class. So I was off for almost a whole year and didn't realize, and I didn't go to the gym. I didn't see, I was literally just taking my other 2 to school, back and forth, didn't see other people. And I didn't realize until I went back to work that I was depressed, that, my husband and I were fighting, it was like just nothing kind of, I don't know, it just didn't seem right. And then when I got back to work, I was like, I need to be needed by other people, like all day long I'm, just doing for the kids, but I need to do for other people and have adult conversations.
You need something that's just yours.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
And I think that's also an important piece of, if your life is so hectic, especially you're juggling the house and the kids and your work and your day job. A lot of the time I talk about, and a lot of our guests talk about, sort of building new goals and new dreams. And a lot of the time that centers around something you're passionate about, or businesses or things like that. But also sort of a different form of that is just taking that time to work out for yourself can also really serve as that something that's yours. So it doesn't necessarily have to be like, you know what, I really want to start this business, or I really want to write this book, or something huge and massive. It really can just be, I just want to take 20 minutes out of my day that's just mine, that is, uninterrupted, and just have your own time with your own thoughts. And that can really help too. Because I have yet, in maybe 40 moms I've spoken to in the past few months, and not one of us has said that they didn't struggle with that idea of needing something that's your own. And like, what is your identity outside of the family and outside of all these responsibilities you have? So that's really important too, especially during the pandemic. We're stuck in the house and we need to work out, and that has thrown us way off too. So if you loved going to the gym, you can't do that anymore. If you loved having time to yourself, you can't do that anymore. So as a health and nutrition and fitness coach, what do you recommend is more important? Is it the health or the fitness we should focus on first?
I think so. Nutrition is I think, I mean, it goes so well together, but definitely nutrition is where you're going to start feeling better and seeing results, because I mean, fitness helps the muscles come out, and obviously helps, lose weight. But if you get your nutrition down, you're going to see weight loss. So a lot of people think, oh, well, I can't work out, so I can't work with you. But that's not true, because, there's so much to be learned when it comes to nutrition. And gone are the days of the food pyramid, and even the way they describe it on, I don't even know what the website is, but they now kind of show a plate, and your healthy plate. And even that, I was looking at that because I work with my adolescents, and I tell them, this is what your plate should look like. But even the plate doesn't even show, we need healthy fats. And, it shows your protein, and it shows your dairy and your vegetables and your fruits and your grains. But it doesn't go more in depth about, like what kind of grains, and staying away from processed foods and stuff like that. So I really think nutrition probably number one, and then fitness. And the fitness helps my mental health the most. It just helps me get some, anxiety out, and stress relief, and that me time, I mean, my kids are older. I have 12, 14, and 17-year-olds. So they're kissing me goodnight. Like, I'm in bed, they're coming to kiss me because I'm in bed by 10. And so I literally, if I don't get up in the morning before everybody else does, then I have no time to myself.
So is that sort of your secret key to kind of staying on track, is wake up early before everyone else? That works for you in your routine?
That is, yes. And I know it doesn't work for everybody. My alarm goes off at 4:35 in the morning. And I think every morning, oh, I'm so tired, I don't want to get up. But then I remember, like, I love that quiet time. I love to,
early morning.
I have a whole morning routine. I practice gratitude, do a little meditation, and then I work out. And for an hour, I don't have to talk to anybody. Which is nice, but it doesn't work for everybody. And, I have some other coach friends who have little 18-month-olds running around, and, they might do their workout with their kids running around because they want them to see them, taking care of themselves. So it's all in, really how you look at it and what works for you.
You have to find a plan, though, ultimately, because I think a lot of the time we're putting it off, and we're like, tomorrow I'm going to do it. Tomorrow I'm going to do it. And we know that that's our main problem.
Right.
But, as you're saying, it doesn't matter what works for you. You just have to decide what works for you, or try a few things and just get started today on it, I think is important.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. And you said it, the
Yeah.
plan is the
Yes.
key.
I tried a
Yeah.
lot to do yoga at the house, and I try to do it with my son, which I hope that one day he'll do it with me. That'll be awesome.
Yeah.
But it's really funny. I've snapped a lot of pics and I sent it to my mom because he just crawls all over me. If he sees me
Yeah.
doing these poses, he's just crawling all over me, which is
Yeah.
adorable,
Yeah.
So, it's a good time either way. But I do love that morning routine also. I definitely want to ask you a few more questions later on about nutrition and about the differences that now the guidelines are suggesting, especially with the food pyramid being old school, and you have so much insight into sort of the obesity epidemic and what you've dealt with as a nurse. But before that, since we're on the topic of fitness, and you are a Beachbodies coach, and you help a lot of women sort of get into this confident, best shape of themselves, I wanted to ask you, what do you recommend in terms of fitness that we can do at the home? Because I know we're bound by COVID, so I love to get outside. So anything that you recommend we can kind of do where it's COVID safe, that we can start up as a good routine, even for us beginners?
Do you mean to get with other people, or you mean just
anything we can incorporate into our daily routine that you think is manageable? Like, I'm thinking of myself, I don't have a great daily workout routine. I'd love to get started, but I'm really a beginner. I feel like, I can't go into the gym like I used to. I used to love going and doing some, treadmill work and all of that. And, I'd love to do some home workouts or incorporate anything you think outside. What do you recommend for your clients sort of just starting out, that we can start creating a good workout routine for ourselves as moms?
Yeah. So, well, I mean, I obviously recommend Beachbody because I'm a coach. And so Beachbody On Demand has, I believe it's like over 70 programs. So there is literally a workout for everybody. There's a whole yoga studio, and you can follow 3 weeks of yoga. There is a bar program, which is absolutely one of my favorite things. There is, for the cardio, fanatic, there's like all cardio, there's dance, there's boxing, there's, MMA kind of workouts. And I've tried them all. I think the key to finding, to getting into a habit is finding something you love. So if you love walking outside, then do that, because you're going to want to keep doing it. If you start a routine and you hate it, you're not going to want to keep doing it. Right. So, and for those who don't want to, join Beachbody, there are YouTube videos that you can search, whatever you're looking for. I recommend those a lot to my adolescent patients to, just look up what you want to do. Do you want to work out your arms? Do you want to do some core work or whatever? But the difference in doing a program from start to finish than like going to the gym. Like, I used to go to the gym and I would do treadmill, or I would do the elliptical, or take a class here and there. But the thing about doing a program is these trainers are designing the programs to get results. You're going to work out certain muscles this day and certain muscles that day. Unlike when you go to the gym and you're just taking, one class of this and one class of that. That's why, you might not always see results when you're going to the gym, and it gets frustrating. And then, of course, the other key is to get your nutrition in check.
I'm glad you say that, because as you're speaking, I'm realizing, gee, what a beginner I really am, because I have not done a program like that. And I'm really like stuck in that old school mindset of like, should I be doing 50 crunches, and should I be trying to do push-ups, and, kind of doing it myself, getting my headphones on and all that. And I realize I have not really tried a program, as you said, where it's built that one day you're working on abs and one day you're working on this. It sort of has that design already pre-built for you. I was thinking of, do you recommend I, do XYZ workouts and these things, burpees or whatever they're called, and all those sort of lunges and everything. So basically a program for us is the best thing, and it also helps us stay on track, it sounds like, as well.
It does. Yes. I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm very regimented, and you give me a calendar and I will follow it. So, I'm the kind of person, like, tell me what to do, because otherwise I'm floundering. I would literally go to the gym and like walk around for 15 minutes. What do I want to do today? Kind of thing. And and I'm not a fitness expert. I'm not a trainer. Now I know, I can help my clients. Like, what do you like to do? How much time do you have? And, I was in the mindset back in the day of if I had a piece of cake the day before, that I was going to go to the gym the next day and, like practically kill myself doing cardio, and that you don't have to do that. There you can do a very, very efficient 25 to 30-minute workout, in a program, and not have to spend hours in the gym.
So it's just about finding a program, doing it with consistency, even if it's like a 20, 30 minutes from your day. It's just the consistency. So we don't need to be changing it up based on if we ate that piece of cake, basically.
No.
Okay.
Nope. The key is definitely not to beat yourself up.
Okay.
And I tell my adolescents that all the time. If you can plan for things, for treats, if you know a birthday's coming up, if you know a holiday's coming up, plan for it and, stay on track leading up to it. And even when you can't plan for it, things are going to happen. We get stressed out. Emotional eating is it's a big problem of mine, but not feeling guilty about it and saying to yourself, well, there goes the day. I might as well eat everything in sight, because trust me, I've done it. But rather, okay, you know what? I needed that chocolate. I was stressed out. I ate it. I'm going to get right back on track. I'm going to drink some water. I'm going to, eat the vegetables and just get back on track.
It's interesting that you say that. So just like feeling that we have the ability to make that choice. It's not like we need to punish ourselves and go tomorrow and work out so much. And it's about the guilt, because I struggled with my weight for most of my life. This is probably the lightest I've been really in my life. And before, I would always do that. I would be like, I'm on a diet, and then I'd have a piece of cake or something. I'd be like, oh, well, my day's ruined. I might as well eat everything and then tomorrow start again. So it's a self-sabotaging sort of thing. And I remember like calorie counting a lot and everything. Do you recommend calorie counting, or is that also old school with the old food pyramid days?
That is old school, because every calorie is not weighted the same. So I always tell my adolescent patients, 100-calorie pack of, whatever, like Oreo cookies, or, those 100-calorie packs is not the same as eating even, let's say, 200 calories of an apple with peanut butter. So I definitely don't recommend counting calories. And also I learned that because of the way the FDA is, those 100-calorie packs could be like give or take. So they could be actually 150 calories, but whatever the regulations are, they can be within an amount, and they can slap that 100-calorie label on it. I think the key really is to, whole foods, the less processed, the better. Healthy fats. I grew up in the whole diet, world. My mom was always on a diet. And the low fat, I grew up in the low fat time period where it was, you just bought low fat, and it actually had more sugar in it. So I have my kids reading labels, looking at sugar content, and it's all about how the food also makes you feel,
I'm thinking of the low fat days, because I also grew up with that, and my mom and me were, dieting together. Even when I was young, I was an adolescent dieting. And a lot of times I think that's happening now, especially with the obesity epidemic. And I remember going into the grocery store with her, and me and her, we don't know much about, nutrition, especially back then. They didn't have all those classes that they have now. And we were just looking at doing low fat, and marshmallows had no fat. So even though they're literally sugar, me and her were like, there's no fat in this. Let's go home and eat marshmallows. And that's what we thought. And we're like, we're going to do all no fat. And, it's so funny to think back now and be like, oh, that doesn't make any sense. It's just really about the sugar and the processed ingredients, I think. I used to have asthma a lot also. And about 5 years ago, I stopped taking medicine. I took medicine for years, 4 times a day. And I started doing, as you said, Kelly, kind of not going to the whole food store necessarily, but eating whole foods, nuts and berries were, I was doing some research on it, and it seems like they are kind of like in the old, those, what are those free foods, when you used to do, what is
Weight
that? Weight
Watchers.
Watchers,
Yes.
and you get
yes.
like free food. When I was looking at it, they were saying nuts and berries. And also for me, they were an anti-inflammatory. So where asthma is in an inflammatory condition, I was trying to eat very low inflammatory foods. And so nuts and berries for me really helped for just me personally, and sort of got me thinking of that whole food mentality and trying to kind of, stick to the produce aisle a lot more and stick away from anything processed. And that was really where I made the distinction, processed or organic. And I also started eating a lot of organic. Even my ketchup in the fridge right now is organic. So especially because ketchup, my mom said to me, why is your ketchup organic? And I'm like, well, that's very processed, so
Absolutely.
if anything should be organic, it should be that, those sorts of things. So it makes a big difference. And I've seen it really helped me a lot. It took about 2 years for me to get rid of the asthma, just with some daily exercise, switching to organic, and eating that anti-inflammatory, low processed foods and low sugars.
That's amazing. And that's the thing that has like made me so passionate, is that food really can be healing. And I mean, I tell my patients all the time, I have a lot of asthmatic patients, and it's hard sometimes with getting that across to parents or even the adolescents. Like, food matters, it matters a lot, and just getting out of that whole diet mentality and making it a lifestyle. And making it a lifestyle means it's okay to have the Christmas cookies and, the cake at a birthday, because otherwise it's not sustainable,
No, absolutely. It's all about a balance, and you want to model that balance for your kids too. That's really important. Can you talk to us a little bit, Kelly, about what you've seen with the obesity epidemic? And, is that getting better as time has gone by? I think we've had a better focus on it. Do you think?
Yeah, I definitely think we have a better focus on it, but it's definitely not getting better, unfortunately. Really? I think that, when you think about, I work with a lot of lower income patients, and when you think about what's cheaper, Happy Meal at McDonald's, or, going to the grocery store and actually, buying some food. In reality, buying a rotisserie chicken and some green beans and some potatoes in the long run is going to be cheaper, because that meal will last, but to parents who may not be as educated or just busy, to them, it's the drive-through. And, with always all the commercials and all the processed foods, all the boxed foods, all the, and our kids, they watch TV and they come, oh, Mom, we need to try this. We need to try this type of cereal, or, this, whatever they're advertising. So it's hard. It's hard to change the mentality of people. It really does start with the parents. So when I get to the adolescents, it's sad, because sometimes they want so much to change, but they'll say to me, well, I don't have any vegetables in the house. And so, so I try to talk to the parents. Frozen vegetables are better than none. I get it. Fresh can be expensive. Fresh goes bad if you're not, using it or cooking it up. So keep some frozen vegetables in your freezer. And even canned is better than nothing. And if it comes down to canned, just rinse them off, because they are going to have the sodium and stuff. So rinse them off, and having the options there a lot is, it's hard to get parents to see that.
Yes, especially when I'm thinking of the busyness of life. And I was just actually at the grocery store this morning, and my son goes to daycare. So I'm always thinking of snacks, and I'm thinking, well, if I send him in with this, what are the teachers going to think? And I asked one of his teachers, they have all those little tiny snack packs that you send in, like you mentioned, the 100-calorie packs, or what I was telling her, it's hard to get my son to eat anything because he's only 2. So he's at that stage where all he wants is like crackers and things like that. All crackers and juice is all he really wants to have. Some yogurt he's going for now for me.
Oh, good.
I was thinking of the Rice Krispie. I'm so desperate to give him anything other than that type of food. I was thinking Rice Krispie treats, they have a very small little tiny micro bar, then they're like, and she was like, no, don't send those. I asked his teacher, I was like, you think I could send these in? She's like, no, because it has the sugar. But it's like, it's so much easier to just send that stuff in. And that's what's prepackaged for us. And it's a lot harder when you're a busy mom or have a busy family or can't meal prep as easily to go over to the produce aisle and say, okay, I'm going to prepackage all these little things myself. They just don't have that available for us, unfortunately. But I did this morning, I made sure I cut up apples and have them ready for today's school and tomorrow's school. Last night, I made some pasta and some hot dogs, and I prepackaged those for the next 3 days, 2 days for school. So it just takes a lot more time. And so I think we just have to be very cognizant of what we're doing, because we're at work and we're able to just sort of get things on the go, but our kids are stuck with whatever, we give them. And, it all adds up.
True.
Like you said, we're just modeling all the time for them. So it starts with us.
Absolutely. Yeah, so true.
You did also, just to go back about the types of food that we should be eating and buying for our families. What do you recommend? Because you mentioned healthy fats and peanut butter and things like that. If you have a new patient who's coming to you, whether a parent or maybe a child, because I know you work with a lot of children, or a parent looking to help their kids, who are struggling with obesity, what do you recommend they go to the grocery store and start buying, or what changes you start recommending to them for action steps?
First and foremost, I always recommend adding more vegetables, because most of our kids don't eat enough vegetables. My kids don't eat enough vegetables. I mean, I tell them to, and they always have a vegetable with dinner, like that's not even a negotiable. But I talk to, patients who they don't see a vegetable for a whole week. So that's my first recommendation, is vegetables, and to try new things. So, a lot of times kids say, well, I don't like that. Well, when was the last time you tried it? Because, maybe you didn't like the way it was cooked, or, maybe it just didn't smell good, but it would taste good. So I definitely recommend, trying new things, and then eat what you love. If broccoli is the only thing you like, then eat it, buy a lot of it, and just eat it every day, that's the only thing. But then I recommend, if you like carrots, then, get some dip with them, get some guacamole if you like guacamole, even a ranch dip, as long as you're not spooning out the ranch. If it's something that's going to help you eat more vegetables, then go for it, just watch the amount of that. So yeah, and then like the pairings. So pairing, a piece of fruit with some nuts. So getting that, the fruit, which is also a carb, but it's a healthy, it's a good carb. You need that carb. Eat it with a little handful of nuts, or eat it with peanut butter on it, because then that will help keep you full longer. So that's a great snack, especially for our kids who come home from school. And, they just want everything. Instead of grabbing all the crackers or the goldfish or whatever, have some carrots with peanut butter, or with hummus. My daughter loves hummus, try different hummuses and things like that. So just definitely trying new things. I think sometimes we're so like, oh, my kid's never going to like that. I mean, there's been stuff that my kids shock me that they like, and other things I think they're going to love, and they're like, no, I don't like this. So, just trying new things and bringing that stuff into the house, and like you said, like packing it for them. Kids love to dip things. So, like putting a little bit of hummus in with their, well, your 2 is a little for carrots.
I did try the hummus and the veggie chips. He didn't go for the hummus, but the veggie chips are a hit.
Oh, good. Yeah. And, I don't know if you remember, I mean, when I was little, people would bring in celery with peanut butter and the raisins. They called it ants on a log. So yeah, just that's my first recommendation is vegetables.
So it's just sort of that mentality of just put it in front of them. And should it be just like put all this healthy food in front of them? If they don't eat, they're not that hungry. And then when they're hungry, they'll eat it. Is that sort of just the best way if you're trying to make a big change? Or I'm also having an idea of, if you have a picky eater, maybe you can make a reward system or anything like that. Yeah. I know my son loves stickers, and for the older kids, maybe that even works better. Any tips for us about those picky eaters? How do we change their habits?
So don't change everything at once. Don't
Okay.
take everything away from them at once. Just try one new thing. And definitely I've never made two meals. I've always been a mom who, if you
Mm,
don't like it, this is what you get. I'm not making you something different.
mhm,
But what I will do, so personally, I don't eat a lot of carbs at dinner. My kids love pasta, and I'm
mhm,
Italian. I grew up eating pasta.
mhm,
But I've learned to love spaghetti squash or zoodles because I like
mm,
the sauces that are going on it. So I will make myself, zoodles or spaghetti squash and them the pasta, but it's the same meal. It's the same sauce that's going over it. So that I think is fine, but it's just so tiring to think like, oh, I have to make
mhm,
two meals,
mhm,
and that's why a lot of people shy away from, starting a healthier lifestyle because they're
mhm,
like, well, I'll never get my kids to eat like that. So,
mm.
why should I? I don't
Yes,
want to be cooking two meals.
exactly. Let's just keep buying
Yeah.
Doritos.
Exactly.
It's
Exactly.
easier. We can start tomorrow is sometimes the mentality. So kind of just starting
Right.
today. I remember hearing a tip. It's too bad we really can't do it with COVID because kids aren't really coming into the grocery stores as much. I remember watching a documentary about food and they were saying have the kids come with you to pick it and kind of, show them
Yeah.
the watermelon and be like, wow, look at this. Doesn't this look delicious? Let's get this. And we can get the old cookies you used to like, but let's get this. We're going to have this tonight. And like
Yeah.
having them be involved in the choices, I remember was something that I thought was a great idea. Hopefully post COVID.
Definitely.
And something
Yeah.
else that you mentioned earlier, Kelly, that I just want to highlight because I thought it was a great idea. You were talking about the chocolate cake and sort of not punishing ourselves and getting rid of that guilt.
Right.
And you mentioned something about I choose that to have this, or in some way it was a choice. And I think that
Yeah.
wording is really important subconsciously because when we say I want something, I really want this cake, it's an emotional choice. And then there's been
Yeah.
some research saying I choose to have this, so I'm choosing this today. It changes something internally and it clicks on the fact that we're making a conscious choice rather than an emotional choice. So I think
Yeah.
using that sort of wording, I know that helped me a lot when I was starting to make some big changes because my diet
Yeah.
really needed big changes. And I
Hmm.
always was tied to that emotional eating sort of mentality. So I was like, I deserve this. I really want it. Everything was very emotional. So I tried to be
Yeah.
cognizant of, I'm choosing this today and tomorrow I'm going to choose to take a walk, or especially also you
Hmm.
mentioned drinking water right after. So that's also something interesting because that helped me a lot because if I made what I called like a cheat, if I like cheated on my diet and ate that
Yeah.
cake, it did help alleviate some of that guilt. If I would just like drink 2 glasses of water after, I just felt a
Hmm.
lot better mentally. So it's sort of those mental tricks, I think, that you have to
Yeah.
work on yourself because our eating, like you said, is so emotional. It's tied to our emotions
Yes.
so closely, and for our kids as well.
Absolutely. My daughters will often say, Mom, are you going to have a cookie tonight? You deserve
Mm-hmm.
it. You've been working really
Ah.
hard. You deserve it. And I'll say, no, you know what? I don't really want it because
Mhm.
it won't make me feel good.
Oh.
So, and it's true if I eat too much. I mean, I can eat one,
Mm.
but there are days that I choose to have the cookie
Mhm.
and days that I I'm like, no,
Mm.
I don't need it. So I'm
Mm.
not going to.
Good
But you
thinking of it as
mentioned about
mhm.
the water. That's my other big tip for kids, especially
Mm.
my adolescents, is increase your water. I mean, it's for
Mm.
adults too. And
Mhm.
especially my asthma patients, it really helps
Mm.
because it's lubricating your lungs.
Mm.
Nobody ever talks about that. But in general, as a whole, as people, we are mostly living our lives dehydrated. And for our kids in school, they're taught like, don't ask to go to the bathroom. So, they come home and they haven't drank anything all day long. So, I mean,
Mhm.
my kids, well, of course, now you don't go to the water fountain, but they take water bottles into school. And if I
Mhm.
can give one recommendation to start on your healthy lifestyle is to increase your water
Mhm.
and try to drink at least half your body weight in ounces
Really? Okay.
a day.
Okay.
It
So
makes,
mhm.
as a nurse, I recommend what, for my kids and patients, I
Mhm.
had a headache today. Did you drink any water? I had an asthma attack. How much water did you drink? I mean,
Mhm.
it's like it can alleviate a lot of things before even going
Mm.
to, a dose of Tylenol.
That's true. I'm always dehydrated because I'm always about the coffee. I like love coffee.
Yeah.
So,
You need to balance that out with bottle of water and then some
yes,
coffee.
that looks delicious, that one. And so
Mm.
for you, Kelly, like just for a frame of reference for the water. So if we're like 200
Mhm.
pounds, for example, just as a
Mhm.
frame of reference, how much water
Mhm.
should we be drinking then per day?
100 ounces.
100 ounces. So it's about 8
100 ounces.
ounces per glass, right?
So 100 ounce. So to give you an example, a gallon is 128 ounces is a gallon.
Okay.
So I
About a third.
actually personally aim to drink a gallon a day.
Okay.
It's just made a world of difference in my skin,
Mm,
in just energy even.
mm,
But when you start out, that's a lot. I mean,
mm.
people are like, how do you even drink that much? And in the beginning, you will go to the bathroom a lot, but that's good because it's doing what it's supposed to. It's going
Mhm,
to rid your body of toxins. And when you do eat something, a little bit saltier, it's going to help
mhm,
release some of that.
mm,
And it's just so good for all of your organs.
mm.
So, yeah, so if
Water.
you're 200 pounds, drink 100
Mm.
ounces of water.
What about like Crystal Light? Because my mom struggles to drink water. She just hates water. And we've been
Mhm.
trying to encourage her to drink more water. And she's like, well, I have Crystal Light because she takes the sparkling water and she adds the Crystal Light to it. Is that okay?
Mhm.
Is that the same as water?
Crystal Light is not. Crystal Light is, I believe it's sucralose. It's one of those fake
Mm,
sugars that's
okay.
not good for you because it actually, and they've done studies like on Diet Coke and regular Coke, and
Hmm.
when people make that switch, they
Mm,
they still don't lose any weight because it's still lighting up that
receptor.
part in your brain that is saying, give me more sugar.
Oh, okay.
So I always recommend to people who don't love water, putting fruit in it. One of my favorite things in summertime is freezing watermelon and
Mm,
just, using that almost as ice cubes. Yeah, it's
mm,
really good. Cucumber, mint.
hmm,
Now they have these great in the tea section. They're like
hmm.
tea infusions for cold water. So, doing that. And of course, not adding sugar, though. That's key.
Mm,
There are some water enhancers that use stevia
hmm,
or monk fruit. Those are
mm,
better because those are more
mm.
natural, I guess. So you could try one of those for your mom.
Okay.
It's going to be in the same area where the crystal light is, but so you just have to read the back and see
Okay. That's
what it
good.
has
I'm
for
going to
that
tell her.
sweetener.
I talked to a
Yeah.
nutritionist. No more Crystal Light.
Yeah.
No, I do love
That's right.
I love to put cucumber in water. I love that too. And you brought up an
So
interesting point
good.
about the diet labels. Everything's diet this and no sugar that. So we should be staying away from that diet soda and the no sugar added. I'm thinking of like yogurts and things like that.
Right.
Which got fake sugar. So all of that is
Right.
not going to help us lose weight and it's not going to help our kids be healthier. We should just have the natural way, not the
Right.
diet
Exactly.
version.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Yeah. Because usually, especially, I mean, if it says no sugar added, usually
Oh,
there's
okay.
a fake sugar in there. So I just try to keep the sugar content down as much as
Mm-hmm.
possible. My kids, they still have sugar. I'm not going to take it all away from them,
Yes.
but me personally, I'm not going to eat the sugary yogurt. I buy
Mm-hmm.
plain Greek yogurt and I
Mm-hmm.
add fruit to it myself.
So just kind of sticking to that whole foods. It all comes back to that whole food mentality.
Exactly.
Mm.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yeah.
wonderful. That's some great tips for us, Kelly. And for
Yeah.
everyone out
Thanks.
there listening, what is the best way for us to learn more about you and follow your work and get in touch with you?
I'm on Instagram, Kelly Klein Smith. It's Kelly, Klein Smith. And I'm on Facebook.
All right, wonderful. We'll be sure to check that out. Thank you so much, Kelly, for
Yeah.
joining
Thank
us
you.
today and for sharing your knowledge with us.
Thank you so much for having me. This was really fun.
It was super fun. Thank you, Kelly.